will probably like it too, but I know my daddy's going to love this. He immediately went to the phone.
He called them long distance from the Sun and Sand. We were all in the room with him. He said, I want y'all to come down Saturday morning and go fishing. So he said, Mr. Bellman, charter that boat again.
His mother and father came down the next day and I met him, and the following day we went fishing again. And his mother and father fished, Elvis fished, all his friends fished, June fished, everybody fished. I didn't fish, I was busy taking footage with my little 8mm camera. It was in my closet for years and years and years, and it held up very well. I even loaned it to one of Elvis's friends to take out of town with him, and you know, he could have lost it, something could have happened, but he brought it back to me, and thank God, because it was the only film I had, you see, but I'm fortunate that he took care of it and brought it back to me. Yeah, all this time it was stored away in my closet. That's amazing, isn't it?
The second time, well, it was the same crew, but the second time, Elvis's mother, Elvis's father, Gene Smith, Elvis's cousin, always with the Memphis gang, Red West, Arthur Hooten, Mr. Bellman, my friend Pat Napier. I mean, we just knocked the fish dead. At least 100 fish. Elvis's father, Elvis's mother, they loved it. They really loved it. Mrs. Presley brought a jar of peanut butter and bananas. She brought bananas too. Somehow during the day she managed to make him a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
His mother was looking after Elvis like he was a young child, and she kept bringing him peanut butter sandwiches,
which we all came to call an Elvis Presley sandwich. So, and you'll see in the video the way he's holding his pole, your hands get fishy messing with all of that stuff, so you really don't want to touch your food. And Elvis is like eating his sandwich backwards. It's real awkward when you'll notice how crazy he's eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But Mrs. Presley had made that for him special. Before he started eating, she was holding it for him to take bites. Evidently she wasn't feeding him fast enough or something, so he took it and was eating it. Fishy hands and everything. So.
Elvis loved his mother dearly, very, very much. I had never ever seen a son-mother relationship so close. There was something extra special there. She not only was his mom, she was his best friend. She was someone he could confide in. She was someone he could go to problems with and she'd give him the right answer. She was someone that he tremendously looked up to. Where I remember when I first went on the road with Elvis, she would tell me, she would say, George, now you make sure that he calls home and talks to me and remind him to call me every night. And he would call his mom every night.
She thought Elvis was born to do great things. This was God's gift to her. He took the twin. He took Jesse away. And so Elvis had the power of two people that he was living for, his twin brother and himself, and that he was destined to do great things.
There's Elvis and them jazzing it up there. I believe he's singing Don't Be Cruel.
He liked fun, and he liked good times, and he liked people.
Eddie Bellman had been in the war and brought those hats back as souvenirs. And Eddie, knowing that we should have had hats on to be out in the hot sun that length of time, brought those hats.
And I gave them to Elvis and all his friends.
Octoon, that's all they ever said, in a Memphis twang, Achtung, you know, you do the Heil Hitler, Achtung, that's this stuff.
I'd let her go anywhere with him. I trusted her and I trusted him. I was just about as thrilled as she was. So I was always glad to see him come up, you know.
Very much a gentleman, always. Just, you could trust him. And he said, I'd never do anything to hurt you, June, never. When we got back in, 2 reporters jump on the boat. They ask a few questions. Elvis wouldn't get off the boat, wouldn't talk to him, and so they took a picture. That's a family picture with me standing there with Elvis's mom and dad and the boat captain. And Elvis and I stayed on the boat. His mom and dad got off, and Mr. Bellman told the captain to take the boat down to the factory, and that way we could get away from the crowd. And don't worry, he would bring the cars down there to us.
Oh, when we came in, the people on the pier where his car was parked, he asked the captain, he said, do we have to go in here? I'm so tired, I hate to face all these people. So we went down the channel, down to the factory.
And it was about a 4-mile ride from where we were down to the shrimp factories. And that way we could get away from the crowd. But all the way down, there was lines of cars keeping up with us on Highway 90. Just a whole stream of cars. They knew that was Elvis's boat out there. And they were going real slow, keeping up with the boat. We made it down to the factory. They didn't know where we were going. The cars didn't.
It was a line of cars, like a parade, going down the beach. We could see them on the boat. And they didn't know where Elvis disappeared to, because he really could do some disappearing acts. And how Elvis slipped off that boat, I don't know, because I didn't even see him.
Yeah, he had the cars there and everything, so he escaped.
When I first met him, he had to leave the motel down here in Biloxi because of the fact that people found out he was there, and they kept coming by and banging on his door and everything.
The press and the general public and everyone had figured out that he was there. So this is when Mr. Eddie Bellman, the man that took the film, he tells Elvis that he has a rental house, completely furnished, that's off the beaten path.
So I took him to the house. They brought his Cadillac later, but they pulled it way in the back where nobody would see it. Some of the neighbors spotted it, and the first thing you know, the crowd was all around the house, aggravating him. Come on out, Elvis, and give us your signature. Come on out and sing for us. And so he was trying to get a little rest and take a nap, and he just couldn't. So he said, Eddie, he said, I guess I'm going to have to go somewhere else.
So finally,